Hi guys, welcome back to the news. Recently, a former presidential spokesperson, Ima Niboro, has dismissed a recycled 2010 report outlining how the former president Goodluck Jonathan declined the offer of a presidential yacht from the Navy and suggested using the funds to modernize their aging fleet. In a statement that was issued on Saturday, Mr. Ima pointed out that this was a Daily Trust news report published in 2010, a significant 13 years ago. He wondered why it has been brought up again after so many years and framed up as a comparison between the former President Goodluck Jonathan and President Bola Tinubu. He noted that the matter of the presidential yacht is likely as old as the Navy itself. He mentioned that it first arose during the President Olusegun Obasanjo's tenure, but he turned it down and reportedly instructed the Navy to repurpose it as a special purpose gunboat. And according to Mr. Ima, the issue resurfaced during President Goodluck Jonathan's administration, and he declined it, directing the Navy to seek a reallocation from the National Assembly and utilize the 3.3 billion budget to revamp its fleet. He stated that much like President Olusegun Obasanjo, Goodluck Jonathan, President Tinubu had also rejected the so-called presidential yacht, distancing himself and his administration from it. Now, Mr. Ima emphasized that there is no valid base for comparing the President, Tinubu, and Jonathan on this matter, as both, like Obasanjo before them, rejected the presidential yacht. And has also stated that the people should desist from discussing the issues of the presidential yacht. And at this point, he pointed out that, look at it, Tinubu has rejected it, and also bringing up the issue of a comparison. He added that Tinubu followed the footsteps of his predecessor and rejected the so-called presidential yacht. So, and I said that there is no basis for comparison between Tinubu and Jonathan on this issue. So, my country people, what are your thoughts on this? Because this presidential yacht has become an issue of controversy. It has become an issue of controversy in the sense that people are talking about it because the allocation of a significant 5 billion in the 2023 supplementary budget for the acquisition of the presidential yacht have really sparked public outrage. While the Senate endorsed it in their version of the budget passed last week, the House of Reps redirected the funds to the student loan category in the document. Now, the presidency has subsequently clarified that Tinubu is not associated with the proposed purchase of the boat, affirming that it was not intended for the president, but it was named as presidential yacht in the budget because it is an operational Navy boat which specialized in security gadgets, suitable for high-profile operational inspection, and it is not necessarily for the use of the president. This was a statement made by Bayo Ononuga. So, my country people, the problem is the budgeting system used by the Federal Ministry of Budget. Items are recycled on the budget every year because the MDAs are always told to retain the last year's benchmark. The MDAs that need money for fresh items, while items have been completed, keep popping up in subsequent budgets. So we need to go back to zero-based budgeting. Now, enough of this clear explanation on the presidential yacht. If the two-pass regime manage to distance themselves and refuse to share it themselves, rather advise the Navy to use it to equip themselves, it should be a continuous non-touching until it is used in the appropriate manner. Okay? Does this mean that the Nigerian Navy does not know the difference between operational Navy boats and yacht? Well, it is only God that will help us in this country. Oh. We don't need the operational Navy boat or presidential yacht for now. If the president did not approve it, then it should be expunged from the budget proposal. Or are we being deceived with this denial? If Obasanjo and Goodluck Jonathan rejected that Navy boat, then President Bola Ahmed Tinubu should reject it as well if he really means well for the nation. Okay guys, these are just few reactions from Nigerians. I can tell you that the social media space has been thrown into crisis and chaos ever since the supplementary budget document was released. When the people saw that 5 billion naira was earmarked for the presidential yacht, I can tell you that there have been a lot of talks and speculations. Now, the question has been popping up, and then what does the presidential, as in what and why does the president need a yacht? That's the question on the minds of everyone. Why does the president need this yacht? For a time when Nigerians are, grappling with the ripple effect of his own economic reforms. This is the main question in the minds of all Nigerians. People have been talking about it. And all this have been coming when recently when the Nigerian lawmakers, they talked about the purchase of the luxury vehicles, that's the SUVs, the National Assembly and also the Senate, when they talked about it concerning the purchase of the SUVs. So all these things together. Now they've been talking about it. When they call it the presidential yacht, doesn't mean that it's the president that's using it. But then the presidency explained that the yacht listed in the budget was actually for a Navy vessel. People still ask the developmental or the national security reasons why the Navy needed a presidential yacht. So at this point, people have been raising questions that how come the Navy need this yacht? Our Nigerian Navy, if it's not for the president, then the Navy, why do they need it? And how come this huge amount of money is being budgeted for the purchasing of this yacht? So my country people, what are your thoughts on this? Now, my country people, they've been like a form of a comparison between the past administration and the current administration in relation to this very issue concerning the presidential yacht. When it was said that the Goodluck Jonathan administration, they did not go ahead with the plan, even the Obasanjo, and now it is Tinubu's turn. So why would he consider it? Okay guys, I'm dropping here. Please kindly share your thoughts on this in the comment section.